Breasted, go back into the basic lecture all over again. I'm going to trace through my neckline curve. I'm using this new one that I created. I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to fill it in just so that you can see it. I find the halfway point around the curve. I've come out 1/4 inch at the shoulder neckline intersection. I continue up a distance equal to the back neck measurement. I'm going to do the narrow variation, so I'm going to go up 3.5 inches. 3 1/8 for me. I'm going to square over to the left 2.5 inches. I'm going to square back down. Here at the center back neckline intersection, I'm going to come out 1/4 inch. I'm going to take the pressure off the back of my neck by drawing in this new neckline curve. I'm doing the basic narrow variation. I'm going to square a new center back based on that original back neck measurement. The distance is going to be the same as the original, 2.5 inches. And then using the same curve, I'm going to finish off my collar edge. I'm now going to start designing. I'm going to design my lapel, which is going to come down just like so. And I'm going to design my collar going into my lapel, which is going to be something like so. I don't know. I've run out of ideas.
This is in the book?
Yep. Okay, so I've got this design right here. There's my notch, there's my notch. And now I'm ready to do the double breasted. Here's what you need to know. First thing you're probably thinking is, I have to create an extension for my buttons. No, you don't. When you create a double breasted, the extension is built in already. All you have to do is find the extension. So, if we know that the diameter of that the extension is equal to the diameter of the button, if I have a 1-inch button, I simply measure back 1 inch. If I have a 1/2 inch button, I measure back a 1/2 inch. 3/4 button, I measure back 3/4. The extension is in there. You just have to find it. You won't be able to find it till you know the size of the button. So, I'm going to use a 3/4 button, so I'm going to measure back 3/4 of an inch. And there's my extension. And we know that the buttonhole is 1/8 of an inch larger than the button itself. And we know that that first button will go here at this break point. Now I have two options here as a designer for aesthetic reasons. Because my extension is actually at an angle, I could conceivably square it against this line here, which means my buttonhole will be angled like so. Or I could square them against this center line, meaning my buttonhole will be horizontal like so. It's the question of what I want as a designer. I'm simply going to follow this angle right here. So, 1/8 into the extension, and then the full diameter back into the body of the garment. I'm going to clear my hem by 3/4 of an inch, like so. And then I'm just going to fold this in half to find a 1/3 one, or 1/4 one, or however many I want. So I'll put another one right here. Okay, so now I have 3 buttonholes. So once again, after you've created this extension, whether you use the classic 2.5 to 3 inches parallel, whether you use something like what I've done where I'm using the apex as my guideline, or whether you go all the way over to the side seam or anywhere you choose to go, the extension is there already. You merely have to find that extension. You cannot find it until you know the size of that button. Once we know the size of the button, we simply come back that diameter and we draw in our extension line. We then place our buttonholes. Now, here's the mistake that's normally made. People think, okay, I've got buttons on this side and I need buttons on that side. So what I'll do is I'll simply fold this in half like so, and I will transfer all the buttons to the other side. Don't write this down because it's completely wrong. I'm just going to do the first one. Okay, so they draw the buttonhole, and then they open it back up. Now I'm going to fill this button in so that you can see it. It's sitting right here like so.
So do you have to pick the buttons before you even start sewing?
You have to know the size, yes. Okay, so here's my button, my other buttonhole. Now I want you to take note of something. This point here, where the extension and the buttonhole cross, is the center of the button. That's the center of my button right there. That's where I'm going to sew it. So some of the button will be sitting above, some will be sitting below. I'm saying above because I'm upside down. And some will be sitting over to the left of it, and some will be sitting over to the right of it. So this is where the button will sit, right there. Clear? Okay. When I trace this through, this point is where the button lands, right here. So my other button would be sitting right there. To the left, to the right, up and down, just like so. Did everybody see that? But here's the problem. This button, as soon as I open my arms like this and say, Mary! It locks immediately. It can't go any further. But this one sitting here, and the buttonhole doesn't end till over there, it has all this room to swim. Okay, that's because I mirrored it. So that's not what you want to do. This is the exact buttonhole placement. In other words, this is equidistant from the center. You have to create this buttonhole the same way you created this one. 1/8 to the left, full diameter, back to the right. Now when I go Mary, they lock at exactly the same time. Okay? If you trace this buttonhole through, it actually is the reverse of this buttonhole. This is the center. In other words, if I were to place this button right here, knowing that it has all this room to swim, visually you would be able to tell that the distance from here to here and the distance from there to there are not the same. It's going to create a visual problem because this is the exact distance from the center. So, if I mirror the buttonhole just like I've done, that means I have to place the button here. That means I have a full 7/8 or 3/4, I think I did 3/4 button? 3/4 of an inch before that other button is going to lock. In other words, my jacket is always going to be doing this. Okay? So it's going to lock over here, but this side is going to just keep swimming and moving around because it's got all of this play.